librarian at the Westport Library, and you will be seeing a lot of me during Camp Explore. If you have any questions, you can contact me at mpastel@westportlibrary.org. We are having a wonderful summer of creativity and making. This summer's exceptional workshops are made possible with the continuing generosity of Roz and Bud Siegel. Thank you so much. Also, thank you to the library staff and Verso Studio for putting Camp Explore all together. Today, we are starting the last of 3 intricate workshops in 3 very different mediums. We had a programmable light sculpture with Balam Soto, and a hand sewing workshop with Delari Johnston making critters, our very own critters. Now, you can find those videos on the library video gallery so you can create those projects at home. We will also be uploading Josh's workshop as well. So today, educational technologist Josh Burker will explore the many uses of MIT Lab's Makey Makeys to create musical instruments out of cardboard, games, game controllers. You imagine it, you can create it. And before I share a bit more about Josh, I need to cover an important housekeeping point. If the participants today have a question or a concern, please raise your hand. My fellow librarian Jessica or Josh will be there with a microphone. Speak into the microphone so your question can be heard not only by Josh, but by others in the workshop. And now, on to the introduction and workshop. Josh Burker is a familiar face here at Westport Library, but he is also the upper middle division creative technology teacher at Marymount School in New York City. He has taught both public and private schools and workshops for teachers for over 20 years, working with logo programming, robotics, fabrication, electronics, and art. He writes books and consults on educational projects that he finds inclusive and disruptive. Figure that one out, folks. He is the author of Invent to Learn Guide to Fun and the Invent to Learn Guide to More Fun, both of which inspire makers of all ages to explore the intersection of crafting and technology through whimsical creative projects. So let's get creative and making with Josh Burker. Josh.
Well, thank you very much for all the nice words in your introduction. I'm Josh, and I'm here today to play with the Makey Makey with all of you. We only have like an hour and a half today, so we don't have a ton of time. So what I've told myself as I've been preparing for this is I'm really here to kind of show you what's possible. And we're gonna build something really simple today, and you're gonna be able to scale it up with the knowledge that you now have. Some of you have already used the Makey Makey, and so you're already like, you know, coming in on the second floor, and that's awesome. And you're gonna have a lot of fun with this today too. So I'm gonna talk for I'm gonna try and keep it to like 10 minutes to show you like what this is all about, and then give you an idea of what you might build today, and show you a couple different websites that you might use what you build with today to play with. And then we'll build on that for the rest of the week. So I am a grandfather in terms of the Makey Makey. Back in 2012, I ambushed Jay Silver, which is one half of the team of MIT Media Lab graduates who invented the Makey Makey. I ambushed him outside the women's room of all places up at the Camden Main Opera House where he was speaking at Pop Tech. And he was, his mind was blown because the Makey Makey had just been released, and I already had built this controller to play old video games with. So he was blown away that somebody already had it. And here I am with Eric Rosenbaum, the other half of the Makey Makey team. So I've been using it for a long time. As a matter of fact, way back, if we look at the date on this, in 2013, oh, can we get up here? Sorry. Everyone's like looking at me like they know what I'm talking about. There we go, one more, also the computer screen. There, not that one, but what's on the computer screen? Yeah, there we go. There's Jay, okay, with the controller I built. Sorry. Here's Eric and me. And then in 2013, I put together this game, and I was like, hey, I wonder if you could make the operation game with a Makey Makey, because it's just reading a circuit. And so I did it, and then I built a big one. Then I got an email from Jay, and he's like, hey, we found this out in the wild. We really like it. Will you enter it in our contest? And I said, heck yeah. And so I entered it in the contest, and I won a lot of money, and I won the fame of having my project still up on their website in 2022, and people here can build their own versions step by step. So I've done a lot with the Makey Makey. I've done little things with it. For example, here at the library, I was maker in residence way back in 2014 when some of you were probably still in diapers. And I helped kids and adults. I joked that it was ages 8 to 88. And this gentleman here somewhere in the photo stream, there's a guy here that I found out at the end because he came to show off his trumpet that he built. I had twisted his arm, and he was looking at a book of Miles Davis's oil paintings, and I'm like, come on, build a trumpet. Twisted his arm, got him to build a trumpet. He came at the end to show it off, and it turns out that he was 88 years old. So if he had been 89, I would have had to exclude him. And then, like, the latest project I'm done, I still use the Makey Makey, 9 years later. I'm still using it. The latest one I did was this trumpet that I now have access to a laser cutter, so I can cut lots of trumpets and build, like, a cool thing. And then I'm still playing with, like, how do you close a circuit? There's different ways you can close this circuit to make the magic happen. And by the end, I had this, all these 3D printed parts and off-the-shelf parts and valves. And I know it doesn't work like a real trumpet, but when I play it, it makes trumpet sounds. Just like that. Okay, so we're seeing what's possible here. All right, so in terms of what we're going to work on today, let's, at first, some of us know what the Makey Makey is, and some of us don't yet know what the Makey Makey is. So let's, because I know they put a lot of effort and it was fun, let's watch this real quick, because this is how they introduced it to everyone.
Hi, I'm Jay.
And I'm Eric. We're graduate students at MIT Media Lab.
We have a dream that everyone is an inventor.
So we created Makey Makey to let you invent just by alligator clipping. Alligator clip stuff like bananas to your Makey Makey. When you touch the banana, your computer just thinks you're touching the keyboard. The front has arrow keys, spacebar, and mouse left click. When you're ready for more, flip the Makey Makey over and you've got more keyboard keys and support for the mouse.
All right, so seemingly magic. So what is happening here? Like, give me a clue. What do you see happening here? Anyone? Yeah.
We had, for example, the one with the stairs, there was sensors hooked up to it to see which ones you're stepping on.
Okay, so when they're playing music on the stairs, it seems like somehow there's sensors now built into the stairs. They quickly were able to include sensors. Yes? Okay, so one thing that we noticed is you can use tin foil, like tin foil and cats. What's better? Yes.
Use objects around the house.
Okay, seemingly like mundane objects around the house suddenly turn into what?
Into like invention.
They turn into inventions. Specifically, they turn into buttons that work with your computer, right? Weird. What else? Anybody else notice anything? Okay, well, good. So maybe one thing we do is if we could do the camera overhead here, we'll show them here what the Makey Makey looks like, and we'll get one hooked up. So we have one, we have a lot of them here, and we'll put some in your hands today too. But when we hook it up here, if I hook up this to the USB at the top of the board here, and then plug that into my computer, the board should flash and kind of like wake up and check itself. And then we have these alligator clips that we saw in the video. And we'll get into like exactly what I'm doing, but let's still like kind of deal with the magic here that happens. So we'll hook it up to space like they were saying, and then there's this weird row on the bottom here that says Earth on it. And so I'm going to plug one of those into there too. Can I get, let's take one person from every table. And one of you come up here with me, okay? Just one of you, come on up. I haven't bitten anyone yet. There we go. Sweet. Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to hold one of these wires here. Actually, why don't you, William? You hold that wire here. You got to hold it on the metal part here, and we'll talk about why the metal part here in a moment. And then Julia here, you come over here. And Julia, if you could hold this one. And if we could go back to the laptop, what's on my laptop screen. And then this is the awesomely awkward fun part for middle schoolers, is we get to hold hands. Okay, so Julia, you're gonna kind of swing back over here because you gotta, with your right hand, keep holding on to that. And what I have on the screen is I just have a little scratch project that when the space bar gets pressed, the cat meows, okay? And so Julia, you hold Matthew's hand, and Matthew, you hold Michael's hand, and I'm gonna hold Michael's hand. And then here at the end, when I touch William, suddenly William is a button, okay? And we're turning, and we're somehow sending magic through all of our hands. Thank you for that demonstration. Okay, so, okay, so weird, all right? Like weird. We're holding wires, and suddenly it transforms William into a cat. Give me, how about 5 different people who weren't on the stage? Come on up for your moment, your 15 seconds of fame with Josh. So come on up. Okay, so this time what I've done is I've connected all the wires, okay? I've got all the wires. And I have this scratch project that Eric wrote called Makey Makey Drum Machine. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hold on to the ground. And then what each of you get to do is you're gonna hold on to one of these wires. And when you hold on to it, you need to hold on to the metal part. There's this silicone boot, and you can kind of move it down if you need to, but you gotta be pinching the metal part, okay? So go ahead, everyone grab a wire there. Doesn't really matter which one you end up with, but everyone, oh, I gotta keep that one though. Yeah, and then we're gonna let you grab this one. Yeah, like that, okay, cool. So then what happens is I'm holding Earth, and you're all holding a key. And then when I touch you, you are transformed into a drum. thank you. So, again, we're bordering on magic here. Isaac Asimov says that good technology is indistinguishable from magic, and here we are. So let's take a quick peek at kind of how I've hooked this up, and let's, again, simplify it. And if we could go to that desk camera again and see the overhead shot. What I've done and what you'll end up doing here shortly is you're gonna connect, again, the Makey Makey to the USB cord, and then I've connected it to the space, so one of the alligator clips, and its jaws open when you pinch it. And sometimes it can be tough, so ask a friend if you're struggling with it, but you just pinch it and then you can grab it. And you want to make it so it grabs like both the holes, not just one. And then you also need an earth, okay? And we'll talk about that in a moment. So that's how you hook it all up, and then you're ready to play with it. The other way it works, because it's awesome to like invite your friends over and like turn them into drums and like jam out on them, but your friends have to go home after a while. And you really want to build something that like once your friends are gone, you can continue to play with. So the reason why your friends work is your friends are conductive. And there's other things in this world that are conductive as well. So we've brought in some conductive materials today. And there's this little tool here that my friend Colleen, who works for Makey Makey, made called Is It Conductive? And if we press the space bar, it lights up and tells us it's conductive. Well, I happen to have this thing the Makey Makey is connected to a space bar. So if I hooked up this conductive copper tape, for example, and then I held on to the ground, the other end of the circuit, because what we're trying to do is kind of create a circle of electricity that when it comes together, something happens, okay? So when I do that, it tells me, oh, that copper tape's conductive, okay? Likewise, a piece of aluminum foil, okay? If I clip into that and touch it, it's conductive. Now, this blade, if I clip into it, touch it, not conductive, okay? Surprisingly, and we discovered this one day here at the Westport Library, somebody had built a drum with an Amazon box and it wasn't working. We were debugging it. And finally we realized that the ink that Amazon uses on their boxes is conductive. So you can leverage that and like quickly make buttons. Here's my smile button, you know? I could program something that then smiles. Okay, so what I want us to do today is this. We're gonna build just a simple game controller. And I'm gonna finish up my like 4 more minutes that I have to talk to you with showing you how I recently built a game controller. Okay, and it's gonna go quickly, but we have the URL for all of you. So the first thing that I did recently when I built a game controller was I dragged my 11-year-old son into it, and I suggested to him, why don't we go to this overhead, and we'll do it. So the first thing we did is we took a piece of cardboard, okay? And I'll talk about the table here in a moment. When you're working with cardboard, you don't take it out of the middle. When you're working with a sheet of plywood, when you take it out of the middle, the foreman kicks you off the job site and you're gone, okay? So start off at an edge. It makes like the cutting a little less arduous. So I would do this with a pencil, but I'm gonna do it here with a pen, because it'll be easier for you to see. So the first thing you might want to do is kind of trace your hand, so you know kind of roughly how big your hand is, okay? And once you have that hand traced, you can then sort of design a game controller that would fit into that hand nicely. Like that, okay? Super simple. And because again, this is like first draft stuff. okay? You're playing with it today, and then you're gonna refine it later. So these, they're called canary saws, and they're super, super cool because it's kind of tough to cut yourself with them. I mean, you can, but it's not a knife, it's a saw. So to quickly cut this out, I can just use it as a saw and follow that line. And maybe I can get somebody to like freestyle over that like wiki sound, you know? Nobody spitting rhymes? Okay, so I did that like super fast without cutting myself, right? And I have a game controller that fits in my hand pretty nicely. Now, one thing I suggest here on the web page that I built for you, and we'll give you the URL to, is I cut out a bunch of them because, as you can see, like one sheet of cardboard's pretty floppy. And the moment my little brother grabs for it, you know, and we start fighting over it, like it's gonna kind of get floppy. And you have time to like, you know, trace this out, and cut another one. I cut like 4 of them, you know, because I'm that cool. And it'll just make for more durability in the end. So the next thing I did is I started thinking about, well, where does it make sense to put the buttons on this? And as we've discussed and demonstrated here with our talented friends, we need 2 buttons, okay? We need both the button that we're gonna use for space, but we also need that ground button. And in order for this to work, we need to have our fingers on both of them. So I'm closing the circuit. So I could kind of mark out, well, my one thumb goes here and the other thumb goes here. Boop, 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 okay? Cool. So then I'm pretty well set. Now, if I come down off the stage here, over to our supply table, there's a bunch of different materials that I want to show you. Yeah. Well, I need it down there, don't I? Over here, we have the copper tape that I showed you as conductive. Take what you need, don't take the whole roll. Now, the one thing about copper tape is it is made of metal, and it's very thin. What else is made of metal and very thin? Knives, yeah. So this, like after long workshops, the tips of my fingers will often look like I have paper cuts all over them, because that does that. So be careful, okay? The aluminum foil is good for covering big surfaces. Okay, if I were making buttons, I'd use the tape. If I were making bigger surfaces, I'd use the aluminum foil. If I were making cool things like stars or the outline of a cat or something, I might cut it out of the aluminum foil and use a glue stick. There's wire here. I'm gonna switch this back on because I need both hands. There's 22 gauge hookup wire, and the reason why I tell you 22 gauge is the wire cutters have markings on them, and the second from bottom hole here is 22. And so you can take a small piece of wire, and I say you need about an inch removed of this insulation. Grab it with that hole, and then just pull the wire, and it takes the insulation right off.
So don't cut any of the wires that come with the Makey Makey kit, only cut this 22 gauge wire, okay?
And for what I'm doing, you need like 2 pieces. Hey Jessica, do you think you could find us some push pins? are there any push pins around? Oh, thanks. Just like a box that they can just use and drop it back in. The wire is also conductive. Okay, the glue sticks you have out on your tables, really good for sticking down the aluminum foil that you might use. There's a big variety of weird shaped cardboard. Like, could you imagine turning some of these into buttons? One of the kids at the big first workshop I did built a piano out of this, because this is all different buttons. Okay, weird shaped cardboard, not weird shaped cardboard. Again, don't work from the middle, but work from an edge. Like 2 or 3 of you could use a sheet of this. And then big cardboard, you know, these boxes, and then some tubes and an oatmeal thing that might turn into some weird instrument or controller as well. So to kind of wrap up this build though, I'm gonna go back up here because I have my wires. So I took 2 wires, maybe, you know, I'm not building rockets, so it's, you know, an estimate, maybe 8 inches long, okay? And I have 2 of them. And then we're looking for the push pins, but one way you could do it is the end of the canary knife is pointed enough that you could gently poke a hole through the cardboard, like so. When you're cutting the cardboard, you'll notice like there's a cardboard part on the table. Use that. Like, don't cut directly onto the table. Let's not mark up our tables. But now that I have a hole through the cardboard, I can feed these wires through it, like this, and like this. And I'm gonna bend the wire to make it a little more durable. So I've bent it the same way that the wires are pointing, like, so I can tug on it. So when my younger brother tries to grab this out of my hand, the whole thing doesn't come apart. Okay, now these wires, this would work, but there's like only a tiny place I can touch, and it's pokey. And in the heat of the battle, I don't want to draw blood, at least not my own. So we could use some conductive copper tape to make a button. And you want to try and keep it continuous when you do this. So one way to do that would be to stick the tape down and capture that wire. And then you could, this is a kind of a tricky thing to illustrate here, but if you fold it back opposite the way you want it to go, into like a triangle shape, then you can fold it back on itself and pull the backing out, and it'll stay connected. And I can do that a couple times here with this nice wide tape. Boop. If you do it slowly, it works even better. And I just completely cover that wire like that. And it's thin enough I can just tear it off. Okay, there's my first button. Cool. Second button, I could take, you know, just this aluminum foil here, and it's kind of nice. Could you loan me a glue stick? Oh, William's got me. Okay. I could take this glue stick, throw some glue down, and then make sure that aluminum foil covers it, like that. Okay? So I also suggest like taking, you could do it with, since I don't have, you have a pencil, I don't, but you could take the end of a pencil and kind of wrap that wire around it to get a little loop. And then again, like in the heat of the battle, it may not disconnect as much. And then over here, I'm gonna loop this one too, just kind of pinch it around the wire, and And turn it, boop, like that. Okay, and I want to make sure those teeth are like firmly on it, or else it's not really making good contact. Like this wire, I don't know what happened to this wire, but we're going to replace this wire because it's not really chewing that other wire, and it'll be embarrassing when it doesn't work for me. Okay, so then we'll switch back to is it conductive here? And as I said, I got to keep my hand on ground, but then when I touch this button, it works. Okay. So what can I do with that? Well, surprisingly, you can do a bit. So here's what I just did, and I kind of show you, the steps. I ended up, I could take the hot glue and you, again, do it on the cardboard. Don't get it on the nice tables, but I could glue another layer onto mine like that. That makes it a little more durable. And look, if it's making space happen here, like I'm spacing down the page. So one thing you could do with just one button is in Scratch, like somebody made a project that that when you press the space bar, I guess I made this project, huh? When you press the space bar, it just makes a mark and goes a little further. Okay, so that's one idea. And then the other idea that drove my son and I crazy for a bit was this project that Jay did called Bloop. That's a great one-button game where you're trying to, can you put the screen up, the laptop screen real quick? So this game, what happens is you need to fill the space with this, and there's a little margin of error, but just with one button, you can make like a really devilishly clever game. Oh, come on. The other thing to check is to make sure your Makey Makey's actually working. And I'm not getting a light here on mine, so it's going to require some additional debugging. Somewhere I don't have the conductivity. There it goes. Okay. So how do I bloop? Let's bloop it. So just with one button, you can have a game that drives you crazy. You can't see what's on my screen. Show what's on the laptop screen real quick. There you go. Okay, so just one button, trying to fill this up. When it hits green, I can click. Yay. Okay, so just with the space bar. All right, so I've talked more than enough, and let's get you creating, okay? I don't think at this point you need the laptops. I think let's get things built, and then as you build them, we'll start rolling out the laptops, okay? I'm gonna come down and be with all of you and kind of help guide you as necessary. But the first thing you're gonna probably wanna do is get some cardboard, okay? Awesome.
there's left and right click on the mouse. That you on the Makey Makey right now. Same thing with the like W, the moving controls and space. So all the moving controls are good. But how do you? First thing I need to figure out what button to scroll because you're scrolling the keyboard. And there's also a button to yeah, open. How do you open the inventory? All right, these look good. How do you get rid of the inventory?
All right, what do we got going here? We're gonna make a piano tomorrow. We're gonna do instruments, and you're gonna be able to use what you've learned today. But let's keep it super simple today, just so we for sure. Now, one other thing I want to show you, bud. When you go through that, we're gonna mark up these beautiful tables, and you're using this more like a knife right now. You want to use it more like a saw. So, for example, like that. Okay, so like here, when we get over to here, I want you to saw through that. Okay, and I can help hold it. Yeah, go slowly, you know, and then you keep it straight. There you go.
I'm gonna have Jessica follow you because that's an important thing to tell people.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Beautiful. Okay, so today, just
I'll
like
just,
a one key controller. Yeah, because then you'll know exactly how to debug it. Because when you have 7 keys, that's a lot more. Yeah.
No, you're saying something pithy.
Yeah. So one thing to notice here that Dominic is doing, hey everyone, real quick as you get going, because people have cool designs. Notice what Dominic's doing. He's sawing with this. Instead of cutting like you would with a blade, he's doing the saw motion, and that moves it faster. Awesome. How are we doing over here? Good. Sweet.
So, how do you make like 8? Is there one people
How do you make 8?
or like different?
Start with 1 today.
Different letters.
Start with 1 today. Like 1 button.
One button.
Yeah, 1 button. Just space bar today.
Space.
Just make a space bar today.
Okay.
A weird space bar.
But you're able to make like 5 different buttons, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, you'll do that tomorrow because you'll know how to do it quickly.
Okay.
Awesome. You could even take what you build today and add more buttons to it tomorrow.
Logan used something in 5th grade.
Yeah.
And she's just wondering where she should start this year, right?
I used like an actual motherboard.
Yeah.
Which is good. And
Yeah.
I built, like, I don't remember which game it was.
Right.
I think it had puddles and different things.
Nice. So let's start today with just a space key. And then you're going to understand tomorrow how to build something that uses the arrow keys and A and D. But that way you know exactly how it all works, and when it doesn't work, how to fix it. Cool. Yeah, that looks great, Julia. That looks great.
I made it myself.
Yeah, and then if you put it right next to that, you don't have to cut that because it's already cut, and you're using the material like wisely. Sweet. How's it going over here? Let me show you a better way, maybe. I would use a push pin. No bother. You don't have to be sorry, but then you don't like destroy yourself when it slips. You know. So maybe today just get one of those working. One of the keys. Yeah, and you'd need a ground somewhere too. So if you want to touch it to your face, you could build the ground so it's on. If you want to do it like that, make the first key your ground and the second key space. There you go. There you go. Sweet. So are you going to make a couple copies of that now? Yeah. Nice. That is a gamer weapon. And it has this interesting bend to it right here. Do you want to keep that bend? Because that could be kind of interesting, right?
Yes,
Okay, so are you gonna cut a couple copies of this?
Yeah.
Okay, remember what I said about not cutting out of the middle? Throw you off the site. So let's put this one right here, because that's a smaller piece to work with. And we can actually, you can zip that right here with the saw and cut off a piece, and then it'll be even smaller to work with. Whoa, that's a lot.
I'm only gonna make
This
one.
cardboard's gonna be a little floppy. I would make
Oh,
it
yeah, I'm-
wider.
I'm gonna make like 3 different versions, or like 3 exactly.
Nice. Keep it a little wide, because that cardboard's floppy, okay?
Josh, I need you to turn that off and this
He wanted this one
Just
on.
to make the announcement about
Gotcha.
how to use the saw correctly. Nobody's using it correctly.
No, I think a lot of them are
I
at this
needed-
point. Okay,
I needed
yeah,
the
yeah.
whole group. So just.
I see a lot of us are using it correctly, but let's make sure just to keep the insurance people happy. When you're using the canary saw, it's not a blade. It's a saw. So don't stab at the cardboard and slice, but rather you want to back and forth it like a saw, and it'll go easier and more accurately for you. The other thing is you aren't a scroll saw, so work slowly, and that'll make a more accurate cut versus, slow it down and you'll work easier. Okay, yeah, the nice thing is
Haymakers, if you're at a point where you're comfortable with stopping on today's project, start thinking about what you're making tomorrow, and you can even start assembling a list of the supplies you need, and we'll have some paper so you can sketch out your ideas. Okay?
So the way I built mine in front of all of you, wait to glue it together till the very end. Because you want to be able to debug it without having to tear it all apart when it's glued.
This is just the front, it isn't where he's touching stuff.
Oh, I'm gonna have a button. I was planning on like just making it strong.
Exactly, but not until the end.
I'm trying to.
I would wait.
So now you can just let it. Once it cools, you can take it off.
Then you can pop this one apart. Okay, so head over to the table here and let's get the wire.
I'm gonna make it in this layer. I'm right. None of the glue stuff. Big stuff.
Hey makers, another observation. Josh has requested that you do not hot glue your pieces together until the very end of the project. This will let us, or let you, debug if there's any problems. That's usually that there's a poor contact between the copper tape and your wires. And remember, anybody that was here for our paper circuitry with Balam, press the copper tape or the aluminum foil close to whatever wire connection you have. Make sure that that is a secure connection. It will make your life easier in the end.
One piece working and make sure, you know, when you connect it with the Makey Makey, it works, and then you could add more.
What all are you waiting for? Hey, Mike, and what do you need? Right here.
put up on here the, what's on the laptop screen?
Yes.
On the screen itself, yeah, thanks.
And facing down. Facing down is good.
Sweet, yes.
Okay. If you have a computer, bring it tomorrow. Running out of extras. And let me get this. When you're done, make sure everything you take out of the box is So when you're done with Makey Makey, make sure everything goes back in the box.
It could be funny.
If you're done with the hot glue gun, why don't you unplug it?
Put some.
So when you put your, I'll probably say that, when you're ready to connect this, put a piece of wire tape below this as well as on top. Which wire? The copper tape. Below the wire and above. How do you use the holes for?
Yeah, you're gonna wanna connect, are you left-handed or
Hey makers, another helpful hint that has been just shared with me is when you are adding your copper tape to your cardboard, put a piece of copper tape on the cardboard below your wire connection and then tape above the wire connection. That will increase your contact and make sure that the circuit will be more easily completed. He doesn't want you to glue it together until it's all done. Okay?
Here we go. So, let's take,
See, and now you
where's your wire? Let's make sure that the wire here
got this on. You just have it on the top, put it in the bottom. Or you glue it together, test it.
and then I could
Make sure it works. Once this connection is solid,
okay, good, so,
then
you can get, well, we need to get this going.
If you're ready for a Makey Makey and a computer, clean up all the little pieces of cardboard from your work area first.
Do that.
The big sheets can go back in the pile
So the
and the
first
tiny
thing
stuff,
we're
and
gonna
you
check
don't have
is,
to start.
let's just make sure this works before you get too involved. So hold it. We've got to light this, hold on.
One of whom is in charge of the maker's best.
This is great. Okay. So you need a Makey Makey? Yeah, my no comment. Yeah, don't glue it together. So, yeah, so
Hey, kiddos, real quick, super important point here. Super important point. You want to make sure, can we do this camera again real quick? Thank you. You want to make sure, kids, that you're doing, the wire is coming through the cardboard and then it's going onto a piece of tape. I wasn't really specific about that. It's on these instructions on the webpage we'll put back up. So that's above the copper tape here. And then I'm putting another piece of copper tape over it, over the wire.
Can you repeat and show and turn your mic on?
Mic should be on. Is this on? There, sorry. Okay. So my wires come through the cardboard and I put a piece of copper tape underneath the wire. And then I sandwiched it with another piece of copper tape over it. So I have a wire sandwich. Copper tape, wire, copper tape over it. It seems that if you just do the wire and copper tape, you aren't getting enough surface area. That wire is very thin. And so your button is kind of hit or miss. When I do it like that on my Makey Makey, you can see every time I'm pressing it, I'm getting the light over space. And we fixed Julia's by changing it to have the sandwich. And then it worked consistently. So as you're working here in the next 18 minutes to wrap it up, make sure it's either the copper tape or a piece of foil, the wire on top of it, and then another piece of copper tape over the wire will give you the best connection. Julia's being driven crazy by bloop already. So when you've gone insane, you could then hot glue that, Julia, and stack your stack and make it durable. Beautiful.
You guys ready for a Makey Makey yet? I think you're ready. Okay, let's get you a computer.
All right, cool. Yeah, and let's debug it, make sure it works well, and then we'll glue that all back together, okay? So did you do copper tape, wire, copper tape? Beautiful. That should work great. Sweet. So let's test yours, and then you could glue your stack together, okay?
So it's space, and then what happens next?
Well, tomorrow we'll build more keys.
So and then the red one, right? On Earth.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what color, but yeah, you need one on Earth and one on space.
I need to take. Alright, should I like glue now?
Yeah, you can, yeah.
Well,
So we'll need this to heat up for a couple minutes.
my Makey Makey, please. My Makey Makey kit. Alright, so I'm just gonna wait. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll wait a minute while this heats up and,
Should I take this extra cardboard or? If they're using the hot glue, I need to take your computer stuff away. I don't want to do that. It's faster now.
I think this was really cool.
it's working? Nice.
If I added more tape, would it still work?
See, that's more exciting, right? You're the toughest customer yet.
If I added like more tape here, would
Yeah.
it still work?
Try it. Can't hurt to try it, right? How are we doing over here? Okay, let's see. Where's your first wire? Oh, yeah, we need some more insulation off. Yep, we need insulation off of both of these ends, okay? I'll go do that for you real quick.
Are we saving our,
Controller? Yeah, because you could use that as like your basis for tomorrow to like start building more keys. Yeah. Dominic's, I think. Okay, here's this. And so let's go through here. Let's actually do this real fast to sort of reinforce this because this hole's a little big. It's gotten a little big, but we can fix that.
Josh, I have Ziploc bags for people to put their projects in.
Oh, sweet.
So you want them to save the controller for tomorrow?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we're gonna kind of bend it like that, so it, but then let's put this copper tape that you built, let's put it under it, okay? And then put the wire over it, and then zap another piece of tape right on top of that. And this guy is looking good, but let's get some under it first. Okay, good. I want to take a little more insulation off this, because the more surface area, the better the button's going to work, okay? I'll be right back. Sorry, Jackie. Oh, good, good. So are you playing Bloop? And then I'll make sure the tape is under this. And then some tape back over it. Like that. And if you want to cover that pointy end, that would work well. We got to strip some insulation off that end too. Yeah. Just say cancel.
Can you help me open up my computer? I don't know how to get to turn on it.
I don't know. This isn't my computer, but I don't know. Do you see a power button on it? Yeah, I think that's the power button up there.
Wait, so how do you do that? So this hooks up into here, right?
Yep. The USB hooks up to the top there.
Okay, so now I just need wires to do this.
And then you need the alligator clips,
I have a question. Why would
2 of them.
Why would we need these?
I don't know. To take home a scratch project, if you had programmed a scratch project today, but I wasn't planning on us getting that far.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm gonna program this. I'm just gonna have it to be able to control my computer.
Yeah.
I think that'd be cool.
Well, and I did that Bloop project because we will be able to quickly play something fun and frustrating. Bloop.
Press down on this. Oh wait, I can move it then.
So we're gonna go into space though.
Oh wait, I've got different controls. Okay, so then how do I hook this into this?
How do you hook what into what?
Oh, I just plug this in here.
Yeah, could we go back to the, what's on the screen here? Cool. So the URL that I put up here is it's the whole website I built for all of you that has, what we've done today. And the big thing too is that here's the shortened URL for you. At the bottom of day 1, game controllers, which you can get to right here, day 1 game controllers, that's the link to Bloop. Right here, Jay's Bloop project, just a space key. We have about 12 minutes left, and part of that 12 minutes needs to involve cleaning up. So save some time for that, but I would like you to have a chance to try and hook up your completed controller to see if it'll work. But here's the URL for you. And at the bottom of day 1 game controllers is this link to Jay's Bloop project. And you can make sure your controller works, and I can help you if it doesn't.
First thing, how do I get my Earth tool? What do I need to clip in this?
You would have to connect
Oh, there's only.
something to Earth here. And
Oh,
then this would, that copper tape,
So how do I get more alligators?
okay, you need to take insulation off of this end
And this
too.
thing?
And that end, so they can clip into here. And then, in which case, this would be your ground, or this would be your
Wait,
ground.
could this be my ground?
The metal isn't touching your finger. You have an insulator, the cardboard is insulating.
Oh, so I just need to. Wait, so then. Oh,
So we need to take insulation off of this end too. Open up Chrome for me, and go to that URL, the bit.ly, okay?
Are you able to send the thing in an email?
Yeah, I sent the URL to Margaret, and she'll pass them on to all of you guys.
Oh, I can play with you on Minecraft. What? I can play with you on Minecraft.
bit.ly/3sa.
That's good. I don't know if I'll be able to play today. So that was like this math class, but it ends Wednesday. So we'll be able to play
Why does it not like bit?
It's only like 2 times a week. So it's like online, but like, yeah, the players, it ends soon, so then, it's gonna be like,
Okay, good. We know the internet works. Okay, bit. I'm not the one to hand out computers, so you'll need to ask Margaret.
wait, it's turned green. What does that mean?
Okay, so what we're gonna do
Wait, are we allowed
is
to-
let's clip, no, they stay at the library.
Are we able to?
No, they stay at the library. You can clip that to this wire. Good. And then the other wire will go into this wire.
Wait, this works now, right?
And then, if you keep your thumb on ground and you press that, you get a light. And we know, okay, it's doing a space, so let go. Great. Okay, so in a moment here, Jay's project will load and you can play. Go to that URL and then follow the directions about, why are they not, why is it DNS not? There we go. Okay, good, good. Awesome. Yes, good.
It won't load, but I figured out that.
So do you get a light? Do you get
Yeah.
lights?
Yeah, so.
Yeah, awesome.
So,
Okay.
and also one more thing. So
Yeah.
how do you connect it to these?
Oh, those you need,
Yeah, I
and
was thinking
the
about
little,
that.
you need these jumper wires, yeah. But the only reason why you need these is if you need a WASDFG rather.
Spam that on a dock to see.
Oh, yeah.
Though, it won't load, but I figured out that I can put
You have a connection, yep, so let's make it reload. The DNS here at the library is being a little goofy.
play the dinosaur game.
You could play the dinosaur game if the dinosaur game uses a space, right? Okay, repeat your name real quick.
Moria.
Moria pointed out another fun thing you could do with a single button that happens to be the space bar if you hook it to the right key on the Makey Makey is just play the dinosaur game on Google. Turn off the Wi-Fi and play the dinosaur game.
Although you can duck in the
That's another way to quickly test whether your space key works. There you go, good.
Guys, you can duck in the dinosaur game.
So you only have space. So do the dinosaur game, right? Or do bloop.
Space is jump. No, I know.
Okay, so the way that this one's gonna work. Touch that, so you aren't getting a light here. So I don't think this ground is working quite the way you hope it would. Let's see if this ground works. That's not working right. So did you do, like I was saying, copper tape, wire copper tape, or is this?
Wait, here. Yeah. Here, so you can, like that, right? Right here, look.
And then here, see this, I would have done a lot more insulation off because this isn't a lot of surface area. I think it should work, but tomorrow do more like an inch. Because the more insulation, the more contact you're gonna have between that copper tape. Let's hook this up to my machine real quick, come on up. We need to strip some insulation real quick. All right, so we got Bloop up here. Okay, so we ought to be able to take your controller and this one's space. Just go ahead and clip that to there. Yeah, and then this one will go to Earth. Go ahead and clip that one on. Let's touch this and see we aren't getting there. If I'm really sure I'm touching up here, yeah, and here I'm getting a wire. So, ready? So make sure you're keeping your thumb on that wire, and then when it turns green, hit the.
You guys all set? I did it.
You got it. Good.
So it does work.
It does work. Yeah. Good. But tomorrow, make sure you strip more insulation, and it'll work even more reliably. Good.
So do you need to do on both sides?
No, it should. So it should, if we do it, yeah, see this, you want below the wire, like that, and then a little more on top. Or you can just tear it with your finger. And same with this one.
I don't need one for
Yeah, see, this is why I said start with one button, you know, and then ramp it up.
So just
Go over that, and then we gotta go over this one too. Here,
both should work?
I don't know, we'll find out.
Or I need to hook my ground back up. Do you have any more wires so I can put?
Good, good.
Oh wait, the ground isn't touching.
Wait, you just jumped.
It did?
No, hook it up to this bud.
Yeah, it jumped once.
So now I can
Oh, hold on, yep, now it's working, see?
Yay.
All right, good.
No, you have to hold it.
Sweet. What's up?
I don't have a duck button, so I
Yeah, tomorrow you could build a duck button, right? What button is duck?
the
Down arrow? Yeah, that's easy enough to build. Have you gotten a chance to test yours? Let's test it, all right. Yeah, I totally should have thought of the Dino game there. Good. Do you have it working? Okay. So the first thing we do is let's see where we're connected. Oh, we don't have half of it connected. So let's connect this half. And then we look and see, do I get a light?
We didn't do a sandwich.
Oh, that's the problem. Let's only have one connected at a time, too.
I told him that he wouldn't listen.
No, you gotta listen.
Oh, my sister did before.
So let's just get this out from here and wrap it over like so. I think so. I'm just helping the last people kind of debug their. Yeah, I'll get up there. Okay, hold on. I'll be right back. All right, y'all. I hope you had fun. I'll be here for a few more minutes. to help people debug their controllers and make sure they're up and going. But today we built one button, and now that we know how to build one button, we ought to be able to scale that up pretty quickly tomorrow and build more buttons that would maybe allow us to play music. Or, you know, some of you have come in with some good ideas already in place, and like, if you have a game that you like to play that you need up and down and left and right, well, you could quickly add more buttons to that game controller. So Margaret has some bags that you could store your controllers that you built today in to continue adding. But if you need help and want to finish debugging it, making sure it works for you for tomorrow, I'll be here, okay? Cool. Thanks for your hard work today, kids, and I'll see you tomorrow.
I have to check your tables before you leave to make sure everything is picked up off the
Yeah,
floor.
let me help
All
with
the squares are put away.
this one.
You ready? You got a small controller, and then you got a small bag. Leave everything on the table. You